Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Friday Night Live. I got absolutely no idea what happened with that intro. The outro played and then the intro. Who knows? I've got a nice new chair to sit on and I'm actually quite happy. It's Friday. I've actually just finished a working week as well. It's a weird feeling. Hope everyone is well. Two of my favourites on. It's the OGs, the original Four Lads casting crew. Andrew, how are you?
I'm very happy it's Friday. Had a long old day, but it's the weekend, baby. Who can't be excited by that?
Kenny, how are you, mate? You well?
I'm not bad, mate. You two enjoy your Friday nights. I'm working tomorrow, so not quite the same. But yeah, nice to be here. Only come on because I seen it was just the two of you, so get the old band back together, eh?
I didn't know if you were going to say band or not, but yes, we are here. It is Friday. I hope everyone's had a really good working week. Of course, the window slammed shut this week. And Rangers announced the Europa League squad. Let's add this just up here. Not really any major surprises, I don't think. Obviously, two changes. Nadeem Barami has came out, and so has Kieran Dowell, which surprised me immensely. I did not see that happening. Kenny, what do you make of that Euro squad?
It's a strong squad, Stevie. When you look at it, when you actually look at our squad on paper like that, it's probably the strongest squad we've had in quite a while for a European squad, isn't it? So you can't really complain. And Bayrami might feel a little bit disappointed about being left out, but it's difficult to see who else you would omit from it to put him in. But he's not overly done enough, has he? So Kieran Dowell doesn't surprise me, strangely. I just thought when you looked at the kind of signings and where he's been playing, I thought he would probably drop out. But apart from that, mate, as I say, for me, the overall kind of look at it is that our squad seems to be massively improved. I think that's the way I'm kind of looking at it. You know, other than the likes of Kieran Wright, Leon King, Josh Argentles there that are in because of the homegrown stuff, then it's a very, very strong squad.
Well, on paper it is, Andrew. You've just got to get them playing. What do you make of that?
Oh, well, it all comes down to how they're set up and how they're coached, I suppose. Honestly, I think it's there's no major surprises there. Obviously, Kieran Dowell coming out's a massive blow to us, presumably because he adds something to the squad. But realistically, I mean, it's as strong as a squad can be. The fact that we've got Finlay Curtis in there as well on the B list is good. Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, I mean, our attack looks a lot stronger again, at least on paper, than the defense does. And I don't know if that's just a reflection on how open we've seemed to have been over the past few games, the very last one excepted. But yeah, I'm quite happy with it, broadly speaking. I think it's probably just a reflection on where Bayrami and Dowell sit in terms of the standings. While they may have an impact domestically, I certainly don't think they'll be used internationally.
Yeah, I think Nadeem Bayrami actually has got a case to be disappointed. He actually looked okay under Russell Martin, but I suppose you can't have everybody in. Kieran Dowell, I never thought would come out because he is Russell Martin's version of having the Moochie. However, I'm not sure whether or not this injury might be worse than what it's actually been reported or not reported, as the case may be. So we'll just need to wait and see where that is with that. Obviously, all the new signings are in. Cornelius moves in, Meghoma, so there is a cover for the left, which Kevin Thelwell talked about. Leon King remains in there, obviously, because he's homegrown. And overall, I think it's difficult, Kenny, to say that it's really a strong side because we haven't seen it progress yet. But I'm with you. On paper, it does look pretty strong when you consider the wide options. Miovski, Chermiti, Danilo up front. There's plenty of firepower there, or should be, if we create the chances for them. So I'm with you. On paper, it does look very good. But the truth is that if they play at home against Pilsen, they'll do well in this sort of section of fixtures they've got. If they turn up like Bruges, And I'm not saying that Bruges were a very good side, but if we set up the way we did over in Bruges, for example, it's going to be a long European campaign. So it needs to be spot on.
Yeah, of course. We need to start winning, Stevie. I mean, it's all right me saying it looks a strong squad on paper, which is exactly what I said. I don't see Mark tell me I should go to the pavilion and be a comedian or something like that. But I'm just looking at it on paper. It looks a strong squad. I'm only telling him how I see it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The bottom line is that we haven't started this season at all well, and it's now up to Russell Martin to get these players into a system that works for them, and we start winning as many games as we possibly can, preferably week in, week out. In terms of the European campaign, the Europa League, yeah, there's a few really tough games here. You've got Roma, Porto, Braga, they'll all be tough games, but at the end of the day, I would be expecting us to get through this with that squad of players. So, yeah, it is going to be tough because we have been that hit and miss. A couple of decent performances, and that's been it. So, in that respect, yes, it's all up to Russell Martin to get this team moving and moving as quickly as he possibly can, Stevie, because if he doesn't, he is going to feel the pressure, as we all know already, but we need to start winning, Stevie. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, ordinarily, Andrew, I would feel pretty happy about this squad going into this group of games. I actually quite like the idea. Roma at home is your spectacle one for me. That's the one that I really want to see. Porto away, again, we've done that before, but it's all we've fared pretty well at Porto away in recent years. So I would be looking forward to this. But as we said, there's that elephant in the room that we've discussed plenty of times. But positively, we should be able to go and attack this fixtures, go and attack this group and give it a real good go. And at the very least, finish in the top 24 to be able to move on to the next stage. It's not undoable.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the draw at the time, and I think it's fair to say in the immediate aftermath of the Champions League result, there wasn't a lot of positivity around anyone associated with Rangers. And so it was easy to look at that kind of draw with a negative spin, I suppose. But again, theoretically, this it looks like an eminently winnable group of ties. I think we should stand to do quite well. Ordinarily, I mean, it's Rangers in Europe. We've said it for the past couple of years now. We do tend to turn up in these games, and so you would hope that we can continue to do so. I think Bruges is always going to be a step too far. It still doesn't excuse the manner of that defeat, but we did well, I think, to get through a couple of tricky ties prior to that, and we should feel that we can stand ourselves in good stead for a good Europa League run going forward. I would certainly hope to see us progressing out the league stages into the knockouts.
Yeah, I would certainly hope so. Just trying, there we go, back to normal. I would certainly look. It's just got to try and stay positive and go into it. We really need it to click. I think that's obvious, and there's obviously a wee bit of trepidation between us all and probably everybody that's looking in because we know we haven't performed yet. So it's just a case of waiting to see what happens, boys, I think, with that. But the transfer window has slammed shut, but it isn't in Poland and Belgium, which has led to speculation of not only one of our players, but two of our players. Rabbi Matondo's linked with a move back to Belgium. He's not going to play again for Rangers. It looks extremely unlikely. He is fit. It looks extremely unlikely he's going to get a game at any time soon. You can never say never. Clinton Nsiala, also one that didn't move, has moved to Dynamo Kiev, which was potentially on the eve of the transfer window. It never materialised. So he's still available, and he's had interest from Poland. These are two transfer windows that remain open until Monday, Kenny. They're not going to play in our squad. I think Russell Martin set his stall out with Clinton Nsiala really quite early on. Rabbi Matondo's just hung about and clung on for many years. He had a slight redemption arc for a couple of games under Clermont, but let's face it, on the face of things, he's never shown us anything that showed that proved that he could make it at Rangers because he's never available. It would be better for him if we could move him on. If this interest is real, then getting him away would be a tremendous bit of work. And see if Clinton Nsiala was able to go out on loan for a year, and we see how he gets on. Even if there's an option in there or whatever to buy, we can judge that. I think that's two positive moves, because Clinton Nsiala hanging about the B team who play games here and there is no use to anyone.
Certainly no use to the kid. There's a potential there in Nsiala. That's the thing that I would, point to. That if it's just a loan and he does get a fair amount of first team football, I'd be quite interested to see what he came back like, because I think that has been part of his problem. I think people forget he's only played, I think, about, I don't know, was it 12, 15 first team games for us last season, and that's all the senior football he's got. So he's got everything to learn in the game, but there was a potential there, and I was a bit surprised that he was kind of canned so quickly by Russell Martin and his coaching team, because I think it might just be that he had watched a lot of the videos and just went, he won't do. For me, I think it's just a little bit of a shame that he's, we are sitting there struggling as it is. We've got one left back in this squad entirely. He is a left-sided centre back. It could have been cover, I don't know, but that would be a good move for him as a player himself, because if he could go, whether it was, I think you said Poland, wasn't it? It's a decent enough league. Big, strong lads over there, I would imagine. So he would learn plenty about the physical side of the game. As for Rabbi Matondo, look, I suppose there's two ways to look at this. It's not his fault. He's on the money he's on. We offered him that contract. However, being utterly unavailable for the majority of your entire contract isn't really what we need. Particularly on the money he's on. I'd stop short of calling him a wage thief, but it's not far off it, mate, because he's the type of guy that, we've went through this with Rabbi Matondo over and over, and he's just one of those guys that we need to see the back of, because he's not, first of all, he's not good enough. He's never fit. He's got a little bit of pace about him, but that's it. I don't see anything about his game that made us go and sign him. I'm afraid. I just think it's a remnant of previous times, and the quicker he goes, the better. And if he does get a move to Belgium, good luck to the boy.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the same. He's reportedly on £30,000 a week, Andrew. Contract runs out at the end of the season. He's one of these ones at Rangers, really like a number of others who run out of contract at the end of the season, need to move on. These contracts are not what we should have been paying. It's not his fault, as Kenny points out, but at this point, it's not that he's a wage thief. That's completely unfair on the boy. I think I would never call anyone that, but he is a drain on our resources. If we're not getting productivity from a guy getting that alleged amount a week, then it's pretty pointless. And young Clinton, I would like to see him go on loan, because you never know what can happen. In terms of, if he's a really good year away, one, could we sell him for more money if he's definitely not getting in, or could he force his way back into Russell Martin's squad? So for me, a loan move is certainly better than I'm sitting about doing hee-haw.
Yeah, I mean, on Nsiala, I think there's talent there for sure. It was Barry Ferguson who took him out the firing line. So there's a couple of managers who have looked at him now and gone, he's not quite ready. So both him and Russell Martin. So yeah, a year out on loan, I think, would be eminently sensible. Matondo, it's just never really worked out. He's shown it in flashes very occasionally, but as you said, Stevie, half the time he's sitting in the stands, either not fit or unavailable. And it's a familiar story with Rangers, unfortunately. We have had far too many seasons where we've had far too much of our wage bill sitting in the stands and not playing. And that's not exactly a great situation to find ourselves in, especially in a period where we were having to be careful with our pennies. Where we can afford to, I think, be a little bit less stringent with the wages as things stand right now. But nonetheless, it still doesn't make sense to be throwing out a good chunk of money every week on a player who's not playing or isn't deemed good enough to play. So both, I think, would be sensible moves, and it just continues this work of getting this squad into a better place, making it that we've got people who can contribute in all these positions, and leaving us with a more balanced and better squad at the end of it.
One for our members now, folks. Last night, members of YouTube got first glimpses of Kamar Roof's guest appearance on the podcast. He was on Derek's Coach's Corner last night with him. Brilliant of Kamar to agree to come on. A real coup for Derek as well. Derek puts in a lot of work into Coach's Corner. Coach's Corner idea is something different that we're trying, because there is so many Rangers podcasts that do so many wonderful shows, and we didn't want to copy and paste what others have done. We could do tactic shows. We could do things that really the likes of Heart and Hand of really made their own. So we didn't want to copy. And what Derek's done is speak to ex-professionals, speak to, with links to Rangers and without, about their time in coaching. Kevin Thompson was episode 1. And this one is Kamar Roof. So that's available for YouTube members to go and watch now. It's absolutely brilliant. Like, Derek's done a fantastic job, and it's great to hear from Kamar Roof. To become a member of the podcast, it's 99p a month. What does it get you? It gets you extra shows, extra content, first look at big interviews, documentaries, and it also gets you every show ad-free, which is something that people talk about and would really like. But Kenny, the Kamar Roof coming on the podcast for us is a major coup. When you look at Stephen Naismith, Mark Haitley, Gordon Smith coming on already to add Kamar Roof, it's pretty decent form for us.
What a coup that is. It's absolutely brilliant to get him on. Massive fan of Kamar Roof. Such a shame about his injuries, and I think probably the most natural striker I've seen at Ibrox in a number of years. Absolutely phenomenal finisher. His movement was second to none, actually. Certainly in the last 10 years, 15 years, and I genuinely mean that. And I've not watched it yet. I haven't had the time. I've been up to my neck, but I will do, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm very interested to see what Kamar's got to say. And Derek, as you say, does a fantastic job. I sit and wind him up on that chat constantly, but he's a top lad, and he works his backside off for four lads. And we should be proud of what we're doing here, Stevie, everybody concerned, because that is, to get somebody like Kamar, who's only been away a year, is a phenomenal achievement. And yeah, as I say, I hope the members will enjoy it. And when it goes out to the public, I'm sure everybody will. But for me, as I say, I've not seen it yet, but I'm going to sit and stick it on at some point very soon. And I'm certain I'm going to enjoy it, because despite Derek being on it, put it that way.
Andrew, you helped edit that last night and step in when Derek's laptop died a death. It was great to have Kamar on the show, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Derek, with a 3-week-old laptop, still managed to find a way to make it break halfway through the interview, so that was good fun. But it was a genuinely good interview. Like, I feel quite privileged because I get to sit and just and watch this stuff before anyone else gets to see it, apart from obviously the guys who are involved. So fascinating interview, really good. Kamar was really open and honest about his time, what Steven Gerrard said to him before he came into Rangers, how Gerrard sold him on the move, or didn't sell him on the move. Yeah, definitely worth checking out if you're a member. If you're, someone who's just a subscriber, like Kenny is, you can try DMing us and begging for a link for it, or you can pay the 99p, become a member, and help support the channel, which obviously any good subscriber would want to do, right, Kenny?
See, when you finish, mate, will you send me the link, please?
Of course, mate. The other thing that you can do, just while I've got you, talking about how good it is to be a member, you can also, right, get stickers. And that's, really the big selling point for me. Sorry, that was the one I meant to go for. Your reaction when I tell you, no, you can't have the link. to the Kamariff interview. You're just going to have to deal without it. All right?
Thanks, mate.
Folks, this is your section. We're going to bring up your comments and all your questions, etc. Graham asks, who is our new doctor? We covered this when it first came out. New doctor is Dr. Gary Ramsey. He is the interim first team doctor at Rangers, promoted from within. I think he used to be the academy doctor. Gary is a really, really, really nice lad, and we wish him all the best. So Dr. Gary Ramsey is Rangers' new club doctor. I was introduced to him down south at the training camp when he came over and gave me some Factor 50 and ordered me to put it on my head because he could see that I hadn't had any on. And that's how we got talking, and he introduced himself. Lovely lad is Gary. So, yes, hopefully that answers the question. A few bits of chat about the Scotland team tonight. Scotland are obviously playing Denmark. The team is out. Fair to say I'm not exactly chuffed at it. But it's gone in goals. Hickey, Robertson, McTominay, Hanley, McGinn, Dykes, Adams, Christie, Suter and Ferguson. Kelly, Clark, Doig, Gilmore, Henry, Miller, McKenna, Gannon-Doak, Hurst, Bowie, Johnston and McLean are all on the bench, which is just an absolute travesty. Good luck to John Suter and Liam Kelly for their involvement in the Scotland squad, and good luck to the national team. For those asking, it is live on BBC Scotland, BBC Two, BBC iPlayer, if you'd like to watch a kick-off of 7:45, and we'll be out of your way in time for that happening. Needless to say, Kenny, I'm not exactly delighted about that selection, but I do wish the national team all the luck in the world tonight in Denmark. It should be a good game, actually. You can never really write Scotland off. Remember the Norway game where they got 2 very last-minute goals, but I can't help but feel that team selection, Miller, especially Billy on the bench, even the young boy, I would have loved to have seen the young Hib striker up front as well, and it just seems to me, Hanley, etc., it just seems like it's more of the old guard and less of the new boys, and that's a bit of a shame for me.
Steve Clarke is what Steve Clarke does. He does it all the time. I hate to just stick the boot in for the sake of it, but I'll make an exception for Steve Clarke because he's done it with this squad of players for so long, where I think the majority of the nation could probably look and say many, many times. I mean, if this is, I'm just looking at it right now, if he's starting with 2 up front and the boy at Hibs isn't there, that mystifies me. Adams has no record with Scotland at all over the last few years, and I just find it incredible. Young Billy not being in a team against a team like Denmark mystifies me.
Che Adams, I actually get. I don't mind him for Scotland. I think he does a lot of work. But Lyndon Dykes is not playing first team football. Bowie is. Bowie scored the goals, and I would rather have seen. This is a start of a new campaign. I would rather have seen Bowie get the hit instead of Dykes as we try and move away. And I know Lyndon Dykes has done a good job, but he's not playing first team football, and and that's where I don't get it because Andy Robertson, Grant, they aren't playing either. So. It mystifies me how he chooses. But sorry to interrupt you, Kenny. On Che Adams, I don't think as much, but Dykes is the one for me.
I don't mind Che Adams. I just think that if you're going to play with 2 up front, then the boy Bowie is the one that you want to play with him. That's fine. But the point I'm making is that at least Dykes has some kind of track record for Scotland. That was all I was meaning. But that's even before I get to the fact that Grant Hanley is in his team yet again. I mean, this guy's barely played first team football for about 2 seasons, Stevie. Genuinely, if you actually count the number of games he's got, and he's still getting a game for Scotland. And this is why I've been saying the last 2 campaigns that Steve Clarke has to go. He needs to leave. I don't know what's going to force that guy out, but I'm always a little bit conflicted now with Scotland because I have no time for the SFA, Stevie. I am a born and bred Scotland fan. I went to every game right up till I was about into my 30s, I think, at home, and I've not been for years because of the way that Tartan Army is and the way the SFA are. So I'm a little bit conflicted because I always want to see them do well, Stevie. I do. It's my nation, it's my country at the end of the day, but the people that run it are clue. I was going to say something terrible there. I'll just say they're not very good.
But I wondered how long it would take you to get to that bit, but you done okay. You know, there was a couple of minutes before you went there. Kelso says Fernandez for 3.5 million needs to feature more, Andrew. I think he's absolutely right. Manny Fernandez is a huge output. It's one that people will question. 3.5 million probably could have went on a first team player. It probably could have bought Derek Cornelius outright. It's not as one for the future, but with that, we have to then make sure that he does become one for the future. Otherwise, a lot of people say, why pay 3.5 million for Fernandez when Nsiala was there and he's of similar ability, according to some. For 3.5 million, boys, he does have to feature a lot more. So I think that's a fair comment. But how do you put him in? Giga, Cornelius, Suter are all going to be the first choice. So when does Fernandez get game time? And how do we progress him and make sure he doesn't stagnate? These are all fair questions. I think the 3.5 million is going to hang around that boy's neck somewhat, and it's a bit difficult.
It's always the same whenever you've got a big transfer fee attached to you. It's inevitable. People want to see you start justifying that quickly as well. You know, Rangers fans famously, a lot of patience when it comes to that kind of thing. But, you know, we're just looking to see, okay, we paid 3.5 million for you. Like, show us how you're worth it. If he's not getting a sniff of the first team, then it's going to be really difficult to see that. That being said, as we said at the start, it's not exactly like our defence has been pulling up trees and been fantastic. You know, the old firm aside, we've not exactly been blessed with an abundance of clean sheets. So we really need to start seeing that happening. And its potential, you know, it's always going to come down to, hey, if you do manage to get a start, then he's got to seize it with both hands. He's got to take that opportunity and, you know, show why he should be a first-team starter. There's always pressure at Rangers, but, I mean, it's something that helps build up your confidence as well. If you can win the fans over, which is really easy, obviously, then you're flying.
Kenny Williams says, genuinely think spending 10 million is one of the most craziest, stupidest things we've done as a club. Thelwell also claiming market down south is less of a risk. Is market that failed us before? Probably referring, I would imagine, William, to the Chermiti signing for £10 million. It was £8 million rising, so I get where he's coming from. Kenny, you know, we can't write this boy off before he's even started. That would be even worse than what I normally. I at least give them 5 minutes or so. But we've got to give this boy a chance. And the problem is that he also comes with the baggage that he was chosen by Thelwell and Martin, who the fans have already spoken about. It's a big fee for Rangers. We have to give this boy a chance. And I'm excited by the fact that it might actually force us to play two up front. Miovski and Chermiti, for me, aren't going to sit on the bench. I don't think they're similar players. Could they complement each other? He played two up front for Southampton. I really want to see two up front just because what I've seen so far is a team that haven't excited me in the final thirds. They have at times, but not overall. There's been too many games like St Mirren where even, you know, parts of Motherwell game, definitely Dundee, where we're just not creating enough. Needless to say, Celtic, we didn't even have a shot on target. So we need to do more. And although I get Williams' point that it's a big outlay, I definitely agree with him. Down south is less of a risk. It's a market that's failed us. I would probably agree with that also. Any successes there have been sparing. But I'm choosing for this one to try and look at it as a positive. Two up front, complement each other. Miovski, for me, I'm hopeful it will be a good signing. Chermiti, I'm going to give every opportunity to, because he was massively praised and heralded. Figo said he was the next big thing, etc. He's landed up at our doors after a really poor couple of years. What's your thoughts on Williams' comments?
I totally agree with where he's coming from. However, I've already kind of said this last week, Stevie. I think we just need to look at the 8 million it is rising to the 10, I believe, right? So yeah, we have to be realistic and say that the responsibility for this lies on Thelwell and Russell Martin, who are the ones that are bringing him here, not on the kid himself. So what we as a fan base need to try and do is take as much pressure off him as we can and allow him to settle. He's 21 years of age. He needs to settle. He needs to bed in. He needs to understand he's in a new country, and a new environment, a club that, with all respect to Everton, is going to be a bit of a culture shock to him. I just feel that 8 million, if you look back 30 years ago, Stevie, I think it was, we were forking out 4.5 million for Duncan Ferguson. And if you just put inflation on top for the 30 years ago, it's probably less than that, if you actually think about it. So we have to be a little bit realistic about where Rangers have been over the last few years, where we haven't spent. We've been dealing in the £2.5 million, and every now and again we'll go to 4, 5, maybe 5.5 million. We won't spend any more than that. All of a sudden, the player transfer fee has went up to maybe 3, 4, 5 million on average, isn't it? If you look at it, if you're forking out fees, so this isn't that much higher, and I just feel that we don't have any patience. We know this, Stevie, but we're going to have to be a little bit more understanding than we have been lately when it comes to a young boy coming here and the expectation is going to be on. I mean, we know that the expectation is there, but I'm like you. I would actually much rather see him in a 2 up top then, to take a lot of the pressure off him. Because if he's going to be up there on his own, all that responsibility is going to be on a young boy. So I do agree with you. I think if it's going to be him and Miovski playing in a 2, that would be much, much better for me. But again, we have to understand that at 8 million, the last thing I'll say on this is that he was playing for Sporting Lisbon as an 18-year-old boy, Stevie. You don't get a game for a team like that without having something about you. Yeah, the Premiership move hasn't particularly worked well for them due to injuries and the fact that they've been sitting in a relegation zone for the last 2 years, and they're not necessarily going to play a young boy like that. So that's all I would say about it. I do understand the boys' comments, though.
Andrew, farewell spending 10 million on Chermiti screams of an ego move. I'm not sure I agree. It's one that probably puts his balls right on the chopping block if it goes wrong. I'm not sure I put my ego on the line at work like that, I'm afraid. It's a big move. It's a ballsy move to put all your weight. If this one fails, right, Niels Coppin's job probably was cost by Oscar Cortés, right? That move was completely ridiculed and battered by everyone. If Chermiti goes wrong, then Kevin Thelwell's out of job. And I think that's probably where we are. If he's not out of job, the pressure from the fan base will be massive. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's what a civil servant talking to a minister would call a brave decision, which is not necessarily that it's a good decision, just that, it's very brave. I think you're right, Stevie, in that it's going to be something that his, I think, reputation, I guess, as at least as far as our director of football goes, is going to live and die on that transfer, because it's such a huge outlay. I mean, even without the add-ons, just the 8 million alone. You hope he gets the add-ons, right? Because it means he's scoring goals and he's being successful. But it brings it up to 10 million. Hands across the water guys are giving him like a full 45 minutes. That's remarkably generous. I think it's going to come down to if he just delivers on the pitch. We saw what the 12 million for Torre Andre Flo did. I think he would have been a pretty decent striker, or remembered as a pretty decent striker if he'd cost about a third of that. But because it was that 12 million, because it was that weight around his neck, I think it affected him. It affected the fans' perception of him. And it kind of epitomized that particular era as well, of overspending when we didn't need to necessarily. And I don't want us to go down that same route again, because I've seen where that route takes us. It wasn't a fun time. we don't know yet. It's all unknowns at the moment. We've got to see how it pans out. We've got to give him a chance. It's fair to say that on paper he doesn't have the best records over the past couple of years, but we've seen players come from obscurity and perform at Rangers, and we've seen players who have come from very successful leagues and go on and not do so good at us as well. There's nothing quite like Scottish football, and there's definitely nothing quite like playing for Glasgow Rangers. So it's all going to be about the player and how much he wants to do for us, how much he can deliver. But it's a weight around you. Some people thrive under that weight. Some people will struggle with it.
Kevin Motherwell, thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member. Go and check out Kamar Roof, and you've got a wee back catalogue, first and favourites, etc. Go and check them out, mate. Thank you for joining us. Okay, let's address this. A couple of things to address from this. Farewell, keeping Martin in a job. Did you hear? It is categorically a big load of pile of bollocks. Hopefully that's as straightforward as that can be. There was a story the other day, Football Insider ran a story saying that a bunch of legends went to the Rangers board to try and get Russell Martin sacked, etc. Absolute pish. Let me just say again, and this is something that the managers talked about and stuff like that. Andrew Kavanagh had a meeting with the players and with the manager, etc. When he was over, he met all the players and staff. Russell Martin is going absolutely nowhere at Rangers Football Club. He has a full backing of the board, and this is a project they started 94 days ago or something it was at the time, and they will continue, and they will not react to the noise of outside. FAB, RSA statements, etc. will make absolutely no difference. That is what was said. So the idea that Kevin Thelwell is putting his job on the line for Russell Martin, or that a bunch of legends went to the club to try and get Russell Martin the sack, is, yes, absolute nonsense. So sorry, folks, that none of that was true. Let's address something else. We talked about the 20 million net spend the other evening. We were actually contacted, and the answer to this is the net spend figure is accurate. It does include fees, loan fees, agent fees, and committed spend minus sell-on fees. That is the exact answer to the 20 million. I said at the time, I'll say it again, I think it needed a wee bit more explanation. That has been the explanation given. Kenny, we queried it the other night. I think I'm going to look at it in another way. And something I didn't say the other night, £20 million investment by everyone is pretty good. It's pretty ballsy. It's what we wanted. They've actually spent around 35 million in total when you look at what they brought in as well, which they've done quite well to get. Not quite sure how it all balances off. Does that mean that we're working on what we've only got in for transfers at the moment? Because obviously 10 million from Eagleman, 6 million from JFD, 2.5 million Ridvan, more money for Robin Proper, etc. All these won't come in one go. So they're going to be coming in trenches and paid up, etc. Just like we did for Hadji and the much publicised Ryan Kent, etc. So that is the official answer to what we were discussing regarding the 20 million net spend.
Yeah, and we did query it, Stevie, because it didn't make much sense at the time. But see, I'm going to be quite blunt about it. I don't care. I actually don't care what the net spend is. The way I'm looking at this moment in time is, yeah, we've taken a risk by shopping in predominantly the one market, and we all understand that, and that will remain to be seen if it works or not. However, in terms of the profile of players and the way that we've went about our business, you can look at even the likes of Go Ahead Eagles, the prime example of turning around and saying to those lot across the city that you should do your business a bit more like Rangers, when they were trying to sign one of their players and didn't get him. Now, it just leads me to believe that there's a professionalism about what we're doing. As I say, the buck will stop with Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdon when it comes to the recruitment here, because I keep saying this, and it's one of those things that whether we've spent, as you say, Stevie, 35 million or something like that, We've got plenty back in the door. I'm happy with that. I'd much rather we did work our business in that way. However, the 20 million didn't make sense to me. It makes a little bit more sense. It still doesn't totally, clarify exactly what they're talking about to me, because there's still sort of a few questions that you would like answered about it. But in truth, I don't really care. As long as we've been run properly, we're getting the players. You're never going to get every single first target that you're trying to get. But as long as we've got a list there and we're getting players off that list that are high priority, I really don't care. And I don't think this is what I would say about the English market that we're trading in at this minute in time. We finish off here, Stevie. When you look at the likes of Asgard or even the young boy Fernandez, who somebody was criticising, the 3.5 million, that's standard going rate in League One in England. That's the standard price for a decent centre half in England. In League One down there, we have to understand and appreciate the market we're trading in. And what we're trying to do is get the correct profile to bring up here to grow the player, make the player better, and move them back down south if need be for 2, 3, and 4 times the money we're paying for them, while being successful at the same time. That's what we're trying to do. So that's kind of all I'm saying, Stevie. In truth, yeah, I didn't understand that. I'm still not 100% what he's talking about, but I don't care much. As long as we get the right players in and we're not way overspending on anybody, I don't care.
Yeah, I think the caring for me comes into as long as we're spending within our means. We knew there would have to be a big outlay. I love the business we've done going out the door to get that money for Dessers, Eagleman, etc. Jeffy was a phenomenal kind of fee. We can only go by what's reported. A lot of it was undisclosed. A lot of it then is reported by the press. We have no real insight into beyond that. Rangers don't tell you, they won't deal with you with like that. It's just everything's undisclosed. So a lot of what's been reported, we can only really go with. Said it was 6 million for JFD, 10.5 for Eagleman. Rangers report is undisclosed. But Andrew, there has been a obvious, when you look at that comment that was in before, 800,000 for the fire sale last summer. We've turned that around somewhat. Some of the prices we've got for players going out the door, even when you consider Dessers' supposed fee towards the end, Jeff Eagleman, as we discussed, but it's a lot of good business. Ultimately, what we spent them on is going to be the real focus. Kenny said he doesn't really care about the 20 million. I'm not sure I do as such, beyond the fact as long as we're being run properly and we're looking after ourselves. That's all that we as a fan base should worry. We should be loving the fact that we're spending 8 million on a striker, not sitting worried about the fact he's going to flop. We should be excited about it. We should be looking forward to seeing this boy. And by the way, see the first cross that comes in, if he's not up there like Haitley against Aberdeen in prime 1991, then I'll be as grumpy as anyone else, which will shock people because I'm normally such a happy outgoing lad, as you know. But we should be enjoying the fact that we're spending, we're getting money in, and we've had on paper a pretty good window. What happens on the pitch will be the ultimate decider, obviously.
Stevie, I know what you're like at the games. Like, the reason that the vlogs are only as long as they are is because you have to cut out every single other one of your reactions at the game. That's only the acceptable bits that actually get uploaded for it. For me, my thing is, I see this as a statement of intent more than anything else. The board have backed Russell Martin. They've bought into his vision, such as it is. They've given him the resources that he needs to get the players that he feels he needs to succeed in this league. And the business, in terms of players going out, is massive, because we sat at the end of last season and we couldn't really think of a single one of our players who we considered an asset. Maybe Eagleman, maybe Raskin. That was about it. The fact that we've still got one of them, albeit with its own situation going on at the moment, and that we brought in so much money for these players is good. But I don't support a bank. I support a football team, and ultimately, profit loss is never going to matter as much as points on the board and winning games. So, it sounds great if we're doing good business, But ultimately, the fan base, by and large, are only ever going to care about the results that we get. So if these are the right players to come in and do it, then all to the good.
I'm not going to lie, Andrew, see at times this season already, I fucking wish I was supporting a bank, because watching that lot has been a real struggle at times. Andrew, pleasure to have you on, mate, as normal. Really appreciate all your input, buddy, and you've been working hard on the documentary as well for the site.
Yep, if you're signed up as a member, as long as everything goes well with the final edit tonight, then tomorrow morning you will have a shiny new documentary about the life and times of Jock Wallace. I can barely take any of the credit. It's all Davey Hurd's work. He's pulled together all the clips. He's got the images. He's got the interviews. It's his work. I just sort of slapped it together a bit. But nonetheless, I'm quite proud of it. It's about an hour long, which is insane. It's the biggest one of these that we've done. It's a really good bit of work. Like, I'm quietly quite proud of it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to letting everyone else check it out and see if they like it. And yeah, if you're a member, you'll see it tomorrow. If you're a dirty just subscriber like Kenny, then you'll see it in a month. Because we're never going to keep everything locked up away for you guys. There'll also be, I believe, a full-length interview with John Wallace, Jock Wallace's son, which was fascinating. There's a couple of clips of that scattered throughout the documentary, but you can see the full interview with between him and Davey. That'll go up at the same time as well, and that one's a fantastic interview as well. Fascinating insight into someone who obviously knew Jock Wallace incredibly well. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah, Jock Wallace, one of Rangers' most successful and much loved managers of all time, Kenny. Something special to have on the podcast, to have his son come on and talk about Jock Wallace the way he did for his dad was just absolutely incredible. I'm really proud of what we're doing here. Couldn't be done without the viewers and without the members supporting us. So really, really thank you. But Kenny, as always, you were not supposed to be on tonight. We told you to have a night off, go and chill, but you came on anyway, and I really appreciate it, mate, as always.
No, thank you. I only come on, as I say, because we don't do it very often, just the three these days. There's always either one of us not on or other people are on or whatever. So I thought we'll get the original OGs on. And I had the time, actually. I thought that was part of the reason why I wasn't sure tonight. I wasn't sure I was going to get back and get myself sorted in time. I just want to say a quick thank you to the man I met in the hospital today who was dealing with Tracy, who is a big fan of the show. Thank you very much. He was a gentleman who was very kind with his words. So, yeah. And I might have to subscribe or become a member, mate, because I can just see that Andrew's ripping it right out, mate, and he's not going to give me these links, is he?
No, he most likely won't. Andrew, don't give him anything. Folks, just a thank you to our sponsors, as usual, Rhino Express, Cliveview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, and our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold. For everybody who has asked about work this week, thank you so much for all your kind comments. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the support on the podcast, everybody that's members. If you aren't a member and you've subscribed and like our videos, then it's just as good. Honestly, thank you so much. If you do want to become a member, you can do it for 99p a month. And it supports us directly. It means that we can make documentaries. It means that we can have Kamar Roof on. It means that we can get Mark Haitley on, and all of that. And we'll strive to do more. We're already hunting, on the hunt to get more people on. And I believe that we're close to getting a few. So thank you so much. We really, really appreciate all your support. If you haven't, please do like and subscribe on YouTube. We're well past 10,000 now, and we really, really appreciate all your help. I've really enjoyed tonight. This chair is really comfy, Kenny. You need to go and get yourself one. And yeah, after Kenny moaning about how his arse was sore the other night, I decided to buy myself a nice comfy chair, and it is really quite nice. So on that note, folks, thank you for everybody that's tuned in live. 1,000 joining us again, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you so much. Good luck to Scotland tonight, and everybody that's watching it. Enjoy the game. Take care, and we'll see you all again back Monday Night Live. Take care. Bye for now.
Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.